The hallway on the third floor of St. Jude's Veterans Hospital smelled like bleach and something sadder underneath. Noah Carter pressed his back against the cold wall, clutching a paper bag with an oatmeal cookie inside. He was 10 years old and knew the 3 rules by heart. Me invisible. Don't cause trouble. Never bother the patients. But every day at 3:30, he broke all 3. Room 214's door stood halfway open. Inside, Jack Porter sat hunched in his hospital bed, his skeletal hands trembling as he tried to lift a spoon to his mouth. The spoon clattered back onto the tray. Jack cursed under his breath, then looked up and caught Noah watching. "You again," Jack growled. His voice was gravel in a cement mixer. "You bring that cookie, or you just here to stare?" Noah stepped inside and set the cookie on the bedside table. Jack's hands shook too badly to unwrap it. Without a word, Noah peeled back the wax paper, broke off a small piece, and held it up. Jack stared at him for a long moment, his jaw working. Then he opened his mouth and let Noah feed him. "You're a good kid," Jack said quietly. "Your mama raised you right." That became their routine. 3:30 every afternoon. Noah would slip out of the supply closet where he waited during his mother's shift and bring Jack a cookie. They'd talk about baseball, homework, life. Jack was grumpy and sharp-tongued, but Noah saw past that. He saw a lonely old man who nobody visited. A man who couldn't hold a spoon but could still quote Shakespeare and solve math problems in his head. Then Nurse Jacobs found them. She burst into the room like a tank, her face red with fury. "What is this?" she demanded. Noah scrambled off the bed, his heart hammering. Jack tried to defend him, but a coughing fit tore through his body. "You," Jacobs pointed at Noah. "Out, and don't come back." Noah ran, hearing Jack trying to call after him through the coughing. His mother found him in the stairwell 20 minutes later. Ellie Carter's eyes were red from crying. "Director Henderson called me into his office," she said, her voice shaking. "He said if you go near patient rooms again, I'm fired." "We can't afford that, baby. We can't." Noah nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. For 3 days, Noah stayed in the closet. He heard Jack yelling in the hallway, asking nurses where the kid with the cookies was. Each time, Noah's chest felt like it was being crushed. On the 4th day, he couldn't take it anymore. He had to see Jack one more time. Jack looked worse. Smaller, grayer, with an oxygen tube under his nose that hadn't been there before. But when he saw Noah, his eyes lit up. "Thought you forgot about me, Quartermaster," Jack said. Noah shook his head and held up a chocolate chip cookie, Jack's favorite. Jack tried to reach for it, but his hand shook violently in midair. "Can't hold it today," he admitted, his voice breaking. Noah fed him the cookie piece by piece. When it was gone, Jack told him to open the drawer. Inside, wrapped in a faded handkerchief, was a bronze challenge coin. "It's from my unit in Korea," Jack explained. "You give these to people you trust with your life, brothers. People who have your back when everything goes to hell." He looked at Noah with wet eyes. "You earned it, kid. Every man in my unit earned theirs. You earned yours." Noah closed his fingers around the coin. It was warm and surprisingly heavy. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't thank me," Jack said. "Just keep being you. The kind of kid who brings cookies to grumpy old men. The world needs more of those." His eyes were closing, exhaustion pulling him under. "Now get out of here before your mama skins us both." At the doorway, Noah looked back. Jack had turned his face to the wall, his thin shoulders shaking. "Bye, Jack," Noah said softly. "See you tomorrow." Jack raised one trembling hand in a small wave, still facing the wall. Noah slipped out and walked back to the supply closet, the coin heavy in his pocket. Tomorrow. The word felt like a promise. But tomorrow never came. Jack died peacefully in his sleep around 3 in the morning. The night nurse found him with an almost smile on his weathered face. Noah didn't know, not yet. He rode the bus home, did his homework, and went to bed with the coin on his knitstand. He fell asleep thinking about bringing oatmeal cookies the next day. Jack would pretend to hate them. They'd laugh. 3 days later, Noah stood in the empty room 214. The bed was stripped down to the bare mattress. The window blinds hung crooked. Everything Jack had been was gone. Noah clutched a paper bag with today's cookie, not knowing what to do with it. His mother found him there, tears streaming down his face. "Baby, I'm so sorry," she said, pulling him close. That's when they heard it. Heavy boots hitting the floor in perfect rhythm, getting louder. Noah turned and saw Director Henderson walking backward down the hallway, his face pale and his hands fluttering. "General Sinclair, if you'd just called ahead," Henderson stammered. "I don't care about your protocols," a voice like granite cut him off. The man who appeared was tall and commanding, wearing a military dress uniform covered in ribbons and medals. His silver hair was cut sharp, and his jaw looked carved from stone. 5 more officers in uniform walked behind him in perfect formation. General Reese Sinclair didn't look around the hospital like he was visiting. He looked around like he owned it. "I'm looking for Jack Porter's room," he announced. "And I'm looking for a boy who brought him cookies." Noah pressed himself against the wall, trying to disappear. But the general's eyes swept the corridor like searchlights and locked onto him. "You," Sinclair said, his voice softer. "Were you the one who visited Jack Porter? The one who brought him cookies every day at 3:30? Noah's mouth went dry. His mother stepped between them, her hand finding his shoulder. "Sir, if there's been any kind of problem—" "Ma'am, I'm not here because he bothered someone," the general interrupted. He looked at Noah with something that might have been respect. "Then why are you here?" Ellie asked, her voice cracking. The general's expression shifted. "Because Jack Porter left something behind. And I think you're going to want to hear about it." They sat in the general's downtown office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that showed the whole city spread out below. Sinclair had taken off his uniform jacket and rolled up his sleeves. He picked up a tablet and turned it to show them an old newspaper clipping. A younger man in a suit stood next to a massive ship. The headline read, "Porter Shipping Empire Expands to Pacific." "Is that Jack?" Noah asked, squinting at the photo. "Yes," Sinclair said. At the time of his death, Jack Porter's net worth was $3.2 billion. His company operates over 200 cargo vessels worldwide. He was one of the richest men in America. Ellie made a sound like she'd been punched. Noah couldn't process it. His Jack. Grumpy, lonely Jack in his faded hospital gown. That Jack was a billionaire? If he was so rich, Ellie whispered, why was he in a VA hospital? Because he was hiding, Sinclair said. Jack had 3 children and 8 grandchildren. Want to know how many visited him in 8 months? 0. They were too busy fighting over his money. Lawsuits, accusations of mental incompetence. One grandson tried to have him declared legally insane. Sinclair stood and walked to the window. So Jack decided to disappear. Checked himself into St. Jude's under his middle name. Paid cash, told everyone he was a retired veteran with no family. He wanted to see if anyone would visit him, just for him. Not for his money. He turned to look at Noah. No one did. Except you. There's more, Sinclair continued. Jack was also searching for something. Someone, actually. For over 60 years, he'd been trying to find the family of a man named Carter. Ellie's hand tightened on Noah's. Her breath caught. Elias Carter was a private in the U.S. Army during World War II, Belgium, December 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge. Sinclair's voice went soft. Jack Porter was a 19-year-old second lieutenant. Got pinned down by German machine gun fire. Should have died there in the snow. Private Carter was 22. Had no business going back for an officer, but he did. Dragged Jack to safety while taking 3 bullets. Died 2 days later in a field hospital. Ellie made a sound like a sob. Jack held his hand when he died, Sinclair said. Promised he'd find Carter's family. Take care of them. But records were lost after the war. For 60 years, Jack searched. Private investigators, genealogists, DNA databases. Nothing worked. He walked to a cabinet and pulled out an old military footlocker. He set it on the coffee table. Until 18 months ago, when a woman named Ellie Carter applied for a janitorial position at St. Jude's. He looked directly at Noah's mother. Background check showed your father was Thomas Carter. Grandfather was Elias Carter. Born 1920 in Kentucky. Same Elias Carter who died in Belgium saving Jack's life. Ellie started crying, steady tears running down her face. Jack knew the moment he saw your name tag. He'd been waiting for you. Sinclair opened the footlocker. Inside were medals. The Medal of Honor sat on top, its blue ribbon faded but still beautiful. A purple heart, a bronze star, a pile of letters tied with string. These belong to you, Sinclair said. Your grandfather was a hero. Jack spent his whole life trying to repay the debt. He pulled out another challenge coin, identical to the one in Noah's pocket. Jack had 2 made after the war. Gave one to Elias before the battle. Kept the other. They were supposed to be reunited someday. Noah set his coin next to the one from the footlocker. 2 halves of a whole. For Ellie Carter, Sinclair read from a document. He's leaving $5 million. He said it's for raising a boy who sees people, not wallets. Ellie sobbed into her hands. For Noah Carter, a trust fund. $10 million, accessible when you turn 18. For college, for whatever you need. Noah felt the room tilt. But the bulk of his estate, nearly $3 billion, is being divided between veterans' charities and a foundation. His biological family will receive nothing. They're going to fight it, Ellie said through tears. Let them try, Sinclair replied. Jack prepared for that. He made sure his will was ironclad, but I won't lie. There will be a battle. Are you ready for that? Noah looked at his mother. She looked back at him, her eyes red, but her jaw set. Then she nodded. We're ready. The legal conference happened 3 weeks later. The Porter family came with an army of lawyers, accountants, and a psychiatrist. They had stacks of evidence and expressions that said they'd already won. Noah and his mother sat on the other side with just General Sinclair. They looked small in their borrowed clothes, but they stood tall. For an hour, the Porter family's lawyer laid out his case. Timelines, nurse testimony, medical records showing Jack's deteriorating condition. A psychiatrist who'd never met Jack claiming he had dementia. Then the lawyer turned on Noah. "You visited Mr. Porter every day," he said. "Did he give you things?" "He gave me stories," Noah said quietly. "And time." "What about the coin?" "He traded for it." "So there was a transaction. You give him attention. He gives you gifts. That's called undue influence." The lawyer smiled like a shark. The judge looked troubled. The Porter family looked triumphant. Then General Sinclair stood. "Your Honor, I have one piece of evidence." Jack Porter anticipated every single argument made today, so he prepared a response. He tapped his tablet and a video appeared on the screen. Jack, sitting in a chair in room 214, looking strong and clear-eyed. A time stop ran at the bottom. "If you're watching this," Jack's voice filled the room, "it means my vultures are circling." For the next 10 minutes, Jack systematically destroyed his family's case. He recited his company's quarterly earnings from memory, listed all 12 of his medications by generic name, quoted Shakespeare, solved complex math problems. "Still think I'm senile?" he asked the camera. Then his voice softened. "Ellie Carter never knew who I was, never asked for anything. When her son started visiting, she told him to stop. She was scared of losing her job. That's the kind of mother she is." Jack's eyes got bright. "And Noah, that kid broke rules for me. Risked his mother's job. You know why? Because I couldn't hold a damn spoon. Because I was lonely. Because he saw an old man who needed help, and he helped. I knew who Ellie was the moment I saw her NAMA tag. Carter. Same name as the man who died saving my life 78 years ago. I found them. And you know what? They didn't know who I was. Didn't care about my money because they didn't know it existed. That's why they get it." Jack pointed at the camera. "To my biological family, you taught me that blood means nothing. Character means everything. You wanted my money. You got nothing." He leaned back with a small smile. "To Noah, I lied about the chocolate chip cookies, kid. I actually hate chocolate. Gives me heartburn, but I wanted you to come back, so I lied. You're a hell of a quartermaster. Best I ever had." He winked. "And to everyone watching this, court dismissed." The screen went black. The conference room was silent. Nobody moved. The judge cleared her throat. "Mr. Graves, do you have any further evidence?" The lawyer looked like he'd been hit by a truck. "Your Honor, we could argue." "Counselor, sit down," the judge said, her voice steel. "I've been a judge for 35 years. I've seen real victims of elder abuse. This isn't it. Case dismissed. The will stands as written." Marcus Porter, Jr. put his face in his hands. His sister's mascara ran down her cheeks. The lawyer started whispering urgently. "All of you get out," the judge said, "except you two." She pointed at Noah and Ellie. When the room cleared, her stern expression softened. "That man loved you both very much. Use the money well. Make him proud." "We will," Noah said. And he meant it. 6 months later, Noah stood outside St. Jude's at the dedication ceremony for the new wing. The banner read, "Grand Opening, Carter Porter Veterans Wing." A whole new section of the hospital, funded by Jack's estate. Modern, bright, with everything Jack's generation deserved. His mother stood at the podium in nursing scrubs. She'd started classes at community college, finally pursuing her dream. 6 months ago I was a janitor here, Ellie said. I never imagined standing here today. Jack Porter taught us that wealth isn't measured in money. It's measured in presence, and seeing people for who they are, not what they have. She announced the Carter Porter Veterans Fund, providing mental health services and housing for veterans. Then a scholarship fund for children of hospital workers, so kids like Noah wouldn't have to hide in closets. After the ceremony, they toured the new wing. Room 214 had been converted into a reading room, large windows, comfortable chairs, shelves full of books. A bronze plaque hung on the wall in memory of Jack Porter and Elias Carter, brothers in arms. Not all debts are paid in currency. Noah ran his finger over the engraved letters. You okay, baby? His mother asked. Yeah, he said, pulling the challenge coin from his pocket. I just wish he could see this. I think he can. Noah started volunteering twice a week, officially this time. He'd read to patients, bring cookies his mother baked, play chess with anyone who wanted company. Other kids from school joined. They called themselves the Quartermaster Corps. His favorite patient was Mr. Chun, a 90-year-old Korean War vet, grumpy on the outside with a dry sense of humor underneath. One day, Mr. Chun showed him an old photo. 2 soldiers with arms around each other, grinning. One was a young Mr. Chun. The other was a young black man. That's Elias Carter, Mr. Chun said. We served together. He saved my life, too. Took out a sniper who had me pinned down. I never knew what happened to him after Belgium. Noah showed him the photos from the footlocker, the medals, the letters. They talked for 3 hours, both of them crying. Your great-grandfather was a hell of a man, Mr. Chun said finally. And you? You're just like him. That night, Noah sat in his room with both challenge coins in his palm, one from Jack, one from Elias, both symbols of debts paid and friendships honored. He understood something Jack had tried to teach him. Wealth wasn't about money. It was about who you were when nobody was watching, who you were for people who couldn't give you anything in return, who you were when being kind cost you something. The next Tuesday, Noah brought cookies to the hospital. Enough for every patient on the floor. What's all this? The nurse asked,